So I'm going to go ahead and explain something now. If you, for those of you who are messaging me or Brenda about, I can't find the link, where do we find it? So we're doing literally everything from the app, which is delightful for us because we're past the learning curve. We've done it, tried it, but we also realize that there's a learning curve now for you guys. So what we're doing is when we make an event, the cool thing about our app through Mighty Networks is when you make an event, it links into your Zoom. So it automatically gives you a Zoom link. And when you see it on, if you even go back right now and you look at the event, you'll see under a portion that says Zoom meeting, it's a hyperlink, it's highlighted there, but also down below that, has another place that says Zoom link. So if you just look at the event, for every event we have from now until Jesus comes back or takes us home, either one, or unless the Lord calls us to do something different, but that's where you're going to find your link to these events. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, it's super duper simple once you see it. When you see it, you're going to go, I didn't know. I did that with Bren, one of our calls. I just go in from our Zoom account because that's what I do, but it was weird. It wasn't letting me, and it was being quite strange. So also when we do these, we create a Zoom that you have to register for. So you always need to check your email to make sure that, you've got the confirmation email that has the Zoom link in that. So kind of hits you up both ways so that nobody is lost or confused. I know we have to go back to old school email, which is almost the equivalent of snail mail. Not quite, I get it, but we do need to be looking at that. So, all right. Should we get going, Bren?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Jen.
And I'm Bren.
And we are part of Kairos Life Institute. You might know us from Holy Vibe Tribe, which is just a little nugget under the umbrella of Kairos Life. And tonight we just wanted to gather whoever wanted to come and chat about the AoScanner that Brenda and I have been using for some time. Do you want to share anything before we dive in?
All I would say is that I'm very familiar with a lot of frequency devices. I had cancer. I used a Rife machine, which is a frequency device, when I was diagnosed. And so I know a lot about these things. And I would just tell you that of all the ones I've used, I find that the AoScanner is the most versatile and the most bang for your buck. So Jen's going to talk a lot more about it. But I really am impressed, and it takes a lot to impress me with these things. I have something to compare them to.
Right. Brenda shared this with me just last summer, so I'm fairly new at working with this, but when I start with something, I like to research and dive in. And honestly, this is just, you get nothing but honesty from me. Everything I have to share with you tonight is a little bit of research, but a lot of experimenting on myself and my kids. God gave me 5 guinea pigs, and I love it because I'm able to really, when you do stuff on children, they have no placebo effect. Even my big kids, where they try to buck the system a little bit, they just can tell. And this has been great for me as an emotion coach. You guys know that I have been doing that since 2015. Really with the bent of doing it, using my essential oils and helping clients and people in my classes to shift their emotions and their emotional well-being into a more positive way using oils. But I have to be honest with you, because you expect nothing less, like I've just mentioned, that there have been many times where I've hit a lot of walls with the essential oils. Not that they didn't work, it's just that they only go so far. Right. And when you hit that, it's like, well, and you start to ask the Lord, like, what's going on with this person? The person may blame themselves, like, maybe I'm just not doing the work, or I don't know, whatever happens. And there just can be some frustration. I know for me, I would be circling around the same mountain with certain issues that I had. And then you pile it on with just daily traumas or daily things that come up. And sometimes cedarwood just doesn't cut it. So that's the avenue that I'm coming from, is just personal experience with me and my children, especially now in the stage of life and the season that we're in, but then also with my clients. I make this a non-optional when people schedule a session with me. I'm like, you have to do a voice scan. Otherwise, I'm going to be staring at you. You're going to be staring at me, and we're going to be trying to get to the bottom of this. But if I have it in black and white right here, telling me what's going on with you, and then you see, there's no guesswork. So before we begin, though, because I could just rattle on, Brenda and I can rattle on, and you guys might go, I knew that, I know that. This is not new. So I want to know, and I'm pretty sure Bren wants to know too, is what are you hoping to learn from our time together? So if you want to unmute, probably easier would be to chat, but if you're chatty and you want to talk, feel free. We always love that. But if you want to write in the chat, what are you hoping to gain from our time together tonight? Or if you're like, you know what, hanging out with Bren and Jen, it always proves interesting. So I have no idea what you're talking about, but this should be fun. That's cool too. I hope you have a deal to buy one. You're funny, Joanne. Extra info I haven't yet discovered. Okay, I haven't discovered yet. Just an understanding of the device. It's totally new to me. And yeah, hopefully a better understanding how it all works. Yeah. Okay. I see Stephanie typing, so I'm just going to wait for her to hit send now because I'm really curious.
Becky might be typing too.
I know it's dueling typing here. All those things. Yes, Pamela. Absolutely. Okay, while you girls are typing, I do have another question. And this came up. Okay, I'm sorry, more in-depth understanding. Yes, we're both rich in knowledge, wisdom, and humor. So that, yeah, we're a laugh riot. Actually, just side note on our humor, when Brenda gets all Southern on us, I'm undone. I start laughing. So,
I tell her that, she should appreciate that I'm giving her free meds because the word of God says laughter is medicine. So
absolutely.
I'm her laughter drug dealer, y'all.
See, there we go. It's legal crack. So Brittany says learning brand new, but completely agree about the kid thing. Seeing such a difference in your kids already. Yes, Brittany. And I read something that you shared, which was so cool. So if you guys go back into, I think the AoScan, or even just on the regular Kairos home base, Brittany had a really cool testimony about it. Okay, so here's my next question is this. How familiar are you with quantum frequencies? Here's why I asked that. Because we just started some healing groups, which are phenomenal for weighing less, for better sleep, for vagus nerve reset, or as Brenda titled it, which I love her little titles, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And some of you were messaging me, okay, how does this work? How are you sending the frequencies? Wait, don't I have to hear something? Because you guys are very familiar with inner voice, which we'll talk about in a moment. So I want to know, how familiar are you with quantum frequencies, the quantum realm, anything quantum, because that is really the basis of everything that we do here. Becky says also it's your understanding that there would be a subscription involved. Sorry, this isn't along the lines of what everyone else wants to know. No, that's great though. It's perfect, but figured, yeah, there are questions. Absolutely. Yeah. How much is it? Isn't that like the number one question?
It is. People don't like to admit that it is, but for all of us, it is. Like, okay, that's great what it does. If I can't afford it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, indeed. Joanne, you are so my people. So my people. That right there is really the only reason why I know anything about quantum is from
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joanne, you're my person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sarah, you wanted to think it was woo-woo. What's the deadline set? The 3 just started. No worries. No worries. It's so funny, just to Joanne's point. So when the kids were asking me, about all this, and I had my device, and I'm like, well, here, let me send you some frequency. They're just looking at me. I say, it goes to the quantum realm. Then they look at me like this. I said, excuse me, How many of you guys on opening day went to see Ant-Man? And they all, raised their hand and said, I'm so sorry, period. So that's that. So if you're going to believe everything you watch, is just fantasy, then I got news for you. Everything that you watch in the movies has happened, is happening, will be happening. Brenda's taught me it's really good intel. Turns out she's really right. And I go like, oh my gosh, look. Okay. Now we're seeing this play out.
Yep. Go watch the Marvel movies and just ask yourself, where have I seen this? Is it already happening? Is it something that's happening now? And or if not, just keep watching because you'll start to see it.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so on that note, so more understanding, slightly knowledgeable, that's where we're at. And then I'm just going to assume the others who didn't answer, maybe you're not sure or don't even know what to ask, and that's fine. So just maybe limited or minimal understanding of it, I would guess. If I'm wrong, if somebody is an expert, I would love for you to chime in because I am not an expert. So the way that I've learned it is when you think about frequencies and sending things, and Bren said this, and I've read it elsewhere, but there's a couple examples that I've heard of, and I think they're really helpful just to sort of unpack and open up your understanding a little bit, like in a simple term. I'm the simple term person. If you want real technical terms, maybe Brenda can share, somebody else who knows this a little bit more. When you have your garage door opener, now those of you who live on the East Coast or in a city that the garage door is just not a thing for you, I understand that. But if you understand how the concept works, right? So you have the clicker, the garage door clicker, and then the garage door knows to open up your door. So when we're broadcasting frequencies, for example, and it's just an example of what, just one thing of what the frequencies are, it's everybody has a unique fingerprint. A unique frequency fingerprint. And so when you're sending a frequency, let's say to Stephanie, or you're in my iView now, I'll just use an example. In my device, it says Stephanie, and I'm with intention sending it to her. I'm the garage door clicker. She's the garage door. It knows to pick it up for her. Quantum realms don't know time and space. It's really irrelevant. The other thing is that, again, using a remote control on your TV, it's obviously close up, but you, with intention, pointed at your television, and depending on how, of course, maybe I'm dating myself, maybe you guys all open it up with your apps, I don't know, on your phone, but we have a clicker in our house that the batteries fall out because there's no backing. So depending on how advanced your TV is, sometimes if you turn away, it still knows to turn it on. How do you guys think that happens? This is not a rhetorical question. How do you think that happens? Airwaves, yeah, absolutely. Frequency. And we can go on and on with different examples about the radio, tuning in to a certain frequency. If you're, everything's now digital, but it has to pick up the right band, the right frequency. It's the same thing. The other side of it is, and we're all unique. Thank you, Sarah, for saying that's absolutely true. In a vibrational frequency discussion, forgetting about the quantum for a minute, but just thinking about your vibration, your frequency, we all know and agree and can even speak to. When you walk into a room, you can totally feel the energy. Yes, would everybody agree with that? Right? And then how many of you know that if the mood is high and there's, as we call it, high vibes, high frequency, and it just takes one person to have a very low frequency, low vibe to bring the room down? You guys ever experienced that? Right? And then conversely, if everybody is just sort of like ho-hum and there's a low vibe or low frequency and somebody super bubbly comes in, one of two things happens. Either A, the bubbly person raises that frequency and is like, come on, everybody, let's go. Or that person can repel everybody else and they just sort of scatter like cockroaches. Have you guys ever experienced that? These are just some interesting examples and thoughts about what frequency does, the potential and the possibility of it. No, but that sounds fun. It's happened to me, Stephanie, more than I care to count. And this kid that lived with us in Massachusetts, he's like, Jen, I had this dream about you, that you were like this big flashlight and everybody just scatters when you walk in. I was like, is that why we're having problems here? Okay, got it. So these are just examples, right? We all know and understand more about the quantum realm and the quantum frequencies and energy and vibration than we really realize. It's just most people didn't take physics in high school. And to quote Endgame, the Marvel movie, when they said, does anybody know about the quantum realm? One of them says, oh, just enough to make conversation at dinner parties. Like it's this really weird sort of, I don't really know anything about it, so I just don't. But we all do know a lot about it. How many of you guys, this is again, not rhetorical, this is an interaction. I like to interact with everyone. How many of you guys have ever prayed for someone or said, I'm sending you prayers? Okay, Stephanie, yes, Becky, yeah. So at least 2 of you guys have prayed for somebody else in your lifetime. Okay, a couple more. Good, good, good. All the time. Right. So everybody in here, I'm assuming, probably has like sent prayers, said prayers. How do you guys think that hits the person? Let me ask this actually before you think about the answer. Have you ever felt somebody's prayers for you? Have you ever experienced that? Yeah, you knew. You just knew. You felt it. You guys, that's quantum. That's a quantum reality. It's not like, and this is my limited mindset, or what it was. I had more of a kindergarten idea, is where you pray, dear Jesus, da-da-da-da for Stephanie and her daughter. Amen. It's like you picture your prayer going up to heaven in a little envelope, the Lord getting it and being like, put his like heavenly stamp on it and then sending it somewhere else, like with an angel, a messenger. That's not how it works. So I just unpack these few things just to get your idea going. You guys know about quantum stuff. The world, meaning not believers, has taken it and made it this really mysterious idea and realm. And it's really not. It's something we live and move in every single day. Every single day. So with that being said, I wanted to share my portion. What I want to share tonight is really about the scanner, the inner voice analysis, which a lot of you have already experienced. If you haven't ever had an inner voice analysis, then I highly recommend it because it's really amazing. But to start off with that will help us unpack really what the scanner is. Now this, and Brenda can attest, and those of you guys who have one, can do a whole lot more than just help you emotionally. But that's such a good place to begin. Anything that I've watched, any of our trainings, it talks about if you just do the inner voice analysis, dealing with your emotions every day, a lot of physical things tend to right itself. Because most of, if it was just me talking to me or just a really good friend, I would say all your junk, your emotion or your physical stuff is really underlying from an emotion thing. It's kind of like, well, what came first? You know, the negative emotions or the negative physical aspect. It'd be like this. But a lot of people would agree have had some serious health challenges, would say, probably rooted in emotions. So, which is why, again, for those of you who have done an inner voice scan, when you look at your report and it talks about some things in the physical, it's just a frequency that's picking up, but it's definitely something to give attention to because it's reading your mail that, hey, your body is having this frequency where it says you're dehydrated, let's say, or, you know, in my case, it's like, get better exercise. Well, I exercise every day. How much? Well, we have to kind of look at that and see why is it saying that. So here's a little thing that I found, which I really like how this person put it for the inner voice. So when we sing or when we talk, we generate a series of musical notes and chords that express ourselves emotionally to somebody who's listening. And they're the characteristics and attributes of our personality. And many of these things are deeply hidden within our subconscious mind. How many, if you guys have kids, have you, or maybe we've all been children, and you're speaking to your parent, you can remember that, and they're like, what's with the attitude? I don't have an attitude. Yeah, I hear it in your voice. Has that ever happened to you guys? Like, if you think back to being younger or when you had kids, like, sorry, no, none of that attitude. I do it to my kids all the time. Like, what's the matter? Nothing. I'm your mom. You grew in me for 9 months. I know when you're upset. I can hear it in their voice. Or if you have a really good friend, Brenda is, you guys, if you get close to Brenda, she is like a truth heat-seeking missile. You can't hide anything from her. It's your audio eye roll. Okay, Sarah, sorry, that was funny. But those really close friends, they can hear it in your voice. This is that. So what we emotionally express through our voice has a profound effect on our personal life, our relationships, our businesses. I heard a teaching last night, and I thought this is so interesting. He was talking about faith, and he said, you could say, I have all this faith and all the faith of God in the whole wide world. But if you mingle just one drop of that faith with doubt, the whole thing is muddied. That's the inner subconscious part. We live our lives just totally unaware, for the most part, of the vast amount of information that we communicate with our voice. Our actual words that we speak are either empowered or they're nullified by the programming of our subconscious mind. I'm going to say that again because I think that really needs to sink in. So the words that we say and even the actions that we take, these are empowered or they're nullified by the programming of our subconscious mind. You guys all know that we have about 30,000 thoughts roughly running through our brain throughout the day. I mean, that's a lot of thoughts. We only pick up on about 10 to 20% of them that we're only aware of. So think about that, all those running programs that are in the background of your mind, things from childhood, the way you were brought up, the church that you've gone to, teachings you've listened to, things that you've adopted as truth or false. All of this is affecting how you speak and then how you move and how you basically go through life. So the link, go ahead.
I just want to say something real quick about that I don't think people understand. And I tell my clients this all the time, that you have beliefs in your head and you have beliefs in your heart. You have head knowledge and you have experiential knowledge. And if you understand that everything is frequency, the thoughts in your head are frequency, the things that you embrace cognitively. But the experience in your heart has another frequency. And so if you are playing these two different frequencies, it's like a dissonant sound. There's no coherence. And that's why many times people struggle when they say, I have faith for this, and then they don't see anything move, even though God promises. Because you have a dissonance going on. It's like two different sounds. They're discordant and they don't come together in harmony. And so when we have a coherence where our spirit, soul, and body line up with what God's word says in faith and belief, our experiential belief is the same as our cognitive belief. Then we see things move easily and quickly. And so that's all a frequency-based understanding of that. But I can tell you it's absolutely true, exactly what Jen was saying, that, even the words you speak. I don't know about you, but I mean, I've been there. I've been one of those people that thought if I just said enough affirmations, I'd begin to believe them. Yeah. Right. And there is some basis for repetition. I mean, that is true, but repetition will cause you to have a great memory of what you've heard.
Yes.
Okay. It will not cause you to believe in your heart what you've heard. Right. That's where something has to change your experiential belief. And I believe that's where the Lord can come along and he can speak a word that shifts that experiential belief, because he's got all authority and all power. And so if he says, this is so, and you can hear that, it will change the frequency of your heart to now line up with your head believes. So just a little side note.
No, I love that. And Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you tell us that the heart sends more message to the brain than the brain sends to the heart?
That's true of a lot of things, and the gut sends more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the gut, for one thing. So take care of your gut health, y'all. Yeah, that's a whole nother session. But what's interesting is the heart. So there are two things in your body that create a field of its own. Your body has a field around you. It's called a biofield, and it extends out from you all the way around you in a circle. And that's your body as a whole, your biofield. And you know that you have one. You may not know that you have one in the sense that you call it that. But if somebody steps into it, you're like, whoa, 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 back up. You're in my space. They're too close.
Yep.
Right. And so you have that. And that biofield around you is kind of like your cloud storage. Okay. So, we think about, you have something on your hard drive, that's your body, your brain, all that. But your cloud storage is out here. And so there's information about you out here, by the way. When you look at the brain creates its own field. And so the brain creates a field, and then the heart creates a field as well. And the heart, what Jim was alluding to, is the heart field can go out up to 25 feet. It's been measured. So if you think about that, you could be 20 feet away from somebody and feel their heart field and their emotions. You'd have to be much closer to maybe pick up on their thoughts. And if you don't think your thoughts are outside your head, let's talk about that, because they have machines that can pick up your brain waves without touching your head. And they can pick up your thoughts. So your thoughts are actually outside your head. You are manifesting your thoughts and your feelings 24/7. You are emitting them like a radio signal, like you are your own radio station. So let me just say this. If you don't like somebody and you think you're covering over it with your smile and your Southern sweetness, let me tell you, it ain't happening. People like me are like, oh no, she hates me. Ooh, I can feel that all the way over here. And if you've ever felt that too, have you ever been around people that you thought, I don't care how nice you are to me, I can tell you don't like me, and I don't like you back. but that's that heart field and that thought field, that those things are emitting waves of information. Now, we don't focus on that, and the Lord never tells us to try to dial into that so we can read people's minds or anything. But it is something that happens automatically with a sensing in our spirit man, sensing even our soul. I mean, there are people that do not know Jesus who are really good at picking up on this stuff, right? They train people in this. They train people in how to pick up this. And then those people become very good salespeople, and they become very good, successful business people, because they know how to pick up on the signals that you're transmitting.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, yeah, I was just thinking about all the trainings and all the teachings that I've said, and to just read people's faces and even just their body language and all of that. I think it's really important. This wasn't part of what I was thinking, but just because I talk so much about emotions, is that you guys, we all, not just you guys, we all begin to really think about our thoughts. And I've said this for years, that our thoughts are tangible things. And if our thoughts are not positive, vibrant, filled with vitality and strength, then it's going out, but it's also internalizing, right? It's hurting your body. So yeah, that again, just like health, that's another talk for another day. I'm sorry, Bren, what were you going to say?
just that's so important. I think just as a pause here in this conversation, I had a conversation with my husband last night about that so many people think that their behavior is what matters, right? Their thoughts aren't that critical, but what they do. So if they think terrible thoughts or bad thoughts, but they don't take action on them, it's okay. But that is so unbiblical, and that's not what Jesus told us. He says in the Word of God says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And also that we'll be accountable for not only what we say, but what we think, because here's what we need to remember. Thoughts are the vehicle of our choice. We decide in our thoughts before we ever act.
Yeah.
And so once we've decided, we've done it. Now that's positive and negative, y'all. Positive and negative. Here's the thing. Once we decide to forgive someone, truly, we've done it. The feelings may follow and have to catch up with us, but our decider, as George H. Bush, whatever W. Bush used to say, he used to talk about being a decider. He used to make up his words in case y'all are unaware of that. But our decider decided and chose and made a choice. That's why it's like whosoever believes in his heart, right? And then you speak out of your mind. So that believing in your heart is you chose Jesus. And at that moment, boom, that was the act in your mind, in your decider that brought you into his kingdom and out of darkness. So it can work really well for you. It can be not so good because, you decide truly, like intentionally. I'm not talking about random thoughts. Y'all don't go all scrupulous on me and think that every single thought is a meaningful intent. Okay. We have random stuff and we have to discern what's our thought and what's the enemy projection too. And even what you're picking up on around other people. Like quantum entanglement is a thing. That entanglement means that if you remember the biofield, right? When you're around other people, they may be picking up on your stuff, but you're picking up on theirs. And you may not even know that you weren't having those thoughts until you intersected them. And now you're having thoughts along the lines of what they were thinking about. So we need to, when the Word of God says, take every thought captive, we need to do that truly. I mean, otherwise they kind of run amok.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted
I'm glad you mentioned quantum entanglement because I wanted to talk about that, but I didn't really have a good place. So now we'll do it. Just a little bit more on it. And I love these. See, this is why it's good for Bren and I just to do a class together because we'll just talk and you guys listen. But the quantum entanglement, that is real. I'm sure you guys have experienced that. Just something very simple like posts on Facebook, or you feel kind of icky when you read something or someone comments something, right? And when that happens, or even an interaction with somebody out and about, and you just sort of feel like, and then you can't get it off of you. You feel like you've been slimed, right? That's quantum entanglement. It can work good and bad. I love, when Brenda was talking about the heart thing, I pray for people a lot. And it's interesting because it's like, you hold them in your heart and you're loving them really from the innermost being of yourself in that way. Conversely, it can be negative quantum entanglement. It's interesting. My daughter, my littlest, she and I are so enmeshed and so entangled, which is good. Right now it's okay. As she grows up and we're trying to break that off. But when I do my scans and then I do her scans, we'll talk about what that looks like in a minute. We literally will have the same exact things. So I need to pray over her before I do her scans. Otherwise, she's going to pick up on mine or vice versa. And it's been neat to see the difference in how that shifts when I cut that tie. Not that I'm just like, I'm cutting her off. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, no, Lord, she needs her stuff and I need mine. Some people call it being an empath and you pick up on people's stuff. That is not always a good thing. Like just because you're a feeler and you do that, that's a gift, but it's definitely something to be hyper aware of and know what's yours, what's not yours, and what to leave at the door or what to leave on the floor, really, for the most part. Okay, so we talk about inner voice, and speaking of the AO scanner, so you would give a recording of your voice, and then it gives you audios to listen to. Now, this is a link between music and emotions. How many of you guys have ever watched those little documentaries or funny, I don't know, TikToks or something that shows like what this movie would look like with different music? It's real funny, like if there's a scary movie, a classic like psycho scene, and it might have something jolly or upbeat, it's like, well, that wasn't as scary as all that as it was, because we all know, whether you've seen that movie or not, it's a very like just super, and it just terrifies you. The composers are masterful artists that put together a soundtrack, and it's designed to pluck our heartstrings, right? It gets us in the feels, in our emotions, so that we get the message. Now, hear me, y'all should be writing this down, by the way, because you're being programmed every time you watch a TV show or watch a movie. I hope you all understand that in 2023, you are being programmed because of the music that's put to that. There's a movie, again, just quote Marvel, there's a Guardians movie that my kids and I watched, and I thought one day, I said, if this song that's playing right now while we're watching this wasn't so upbeat, I mean, they were like killing a whole bunch of people in the movie, but it was so like, it was just a fun little sort of Hispanic mariachi feel. And yet we're watching this. So my children are watching people be murdered, but all they're thinking about is the song.
What's really interesting is all that music is music from my generation that was really popular. And so now I've watched that, and it hooks into the familiarity and the longing for the old days, who some of us do. I mean, in some ways. And so it's now pulling all of that good feeling that I had associated with all of that music. So it's multi-generational, pulling all that and associating it now with what you see visually on the screen.
That's right. Yeah, Mom, you're absolutely right. You mute that part and you watch it. You're like, what am I watching? And to Brenda's point, it hooks multi-generation. So I'm watching this whatever movie, and it's a song that makes me think of a certain time in life. And I'm like, oh, guys, I remember this song. And my kids, I'm pulling them into it, into that feel good. All the while we're watching massive genocide go on and heartily giving approval. On the other side of it, there's all those, so you're dancing to murder. Exactly. Yeah. Well put. There's all these different, and we can go across the spectrum, right? Any kind of upbeat, more feel good music. A lot of it is very emotion plucking. There was a time, it's so funny. I get in trouble on Facebook a lot. I'm not on there much anymore, but I do tend to, picket scabs or whatever, but there is a show, and don't hate me, just let me tell my story. This show called This Is Us, or It's Us, or something such like that. And after every week, people would post on Facebook when the show was real popular, oh my word, that movie just it broke my heart, it tore my heart out, all these like travesty type feelings. And a lot of the music that went along with the show, the dialogue and all that, it hooks into our emotion, and it programs us to feel, one of your favorites, Becky. Well, there you go. Maybe you could watch it and then look at your scan after, just see what comes up. It'd be interesting. They're programming you to think and feel a certain way. Certain music can bring tears to your eyes and you don't even know why. It can fill you with hope. Chariots of Fire, anyone? Rocky? Can I tell you, those two songs are on my running playlist for a reason. When I'm feeling a little slow, I'm like, okay, I need some Chariots of Fire, because he was a real guy. He was a missionary. He left running and just, worked for the Lord. I love that story. But it inspires you, certain music. So, right, yeah. Sorry, I was reading Sarah's comment. So if we ignore that impact of the negative emotion and the stress that is that we feel, it can put our health into jeopardy, as I mentioned. But you can positively impact your emotions and your physical well-being with certain music. And that's what the inner voice AO scanner has done. And they have paired that technology. So it uses sound harmonizing techniques that generate certain music, basically, with the audio tones to help bring up those negative emotions gently, non-invasively, so that you can diminish, or it can diminish, the frequencies that are pestering you. I'll say that. And then put in the frequencies that you're lacking. So in other words, if you have like a dip, in my mind, I do a lot of like picturing. So if there's like a dip, I always think of negative emotions like pinging you. So it gently takes out any kind of gunk that might be in there, emotionally speaking, and the negative frequencies, and then puts in the positive, just sweet frequencies in there that cause you to feel in a more positive state. Paul Simon was your running buddy. Sorry, just saw that. That's cool. And so that's how that works, the inner voice. Now with the AoScan, and I'm going to ask Brenda to share a little bit more, there's a whole bunch of different programs that you can run. There's vitals and comprehensive that actually work on frequencies with the physical body. And when I say run them, right, you can speak into them, or again, through the quantum frequency, you call up your name, whatever, not call up your name. I'm sorry, that just sounded like a seance. That is not what I meant. You would have your name on there and it would scan your body and it'll pick up the frequencies of positive or negative things happening. But again, it's just the frequencies. It's not a diagnosis. I feel like I have to keep saying that. It's frequency, not chemistry. Bren, do you want to share about that?
Yes. So again, the quantum field, talked a little bit about that. We are all connected in the quantum field. We are all connected. It's like this is demonstratable. It's provable. This is science. I'm going to say this every time we talk about it, that the quantum field is not the mind of Christ. You'll see people talk about the quantum field as Christ consciousness, as, this is tapping into the mind of God and all of that. And so I just want, we said we're taking back what the New Age has taken and woo-wooed out the door. This quantum field is part of our universe. It's part of what God put in place, but it is not his mind. Jesus is actually a person and his mind is in his head where his brain is. So it's not some kind of like thing out there somewhere, woo-woo, but it is a connector. So we're all connected. And an experiment that was done about like just going back to quantum entanglement. This has been one that I've used as an example many, many times. Two guys brought into a room at a university and they were put in the same waiting room, just the two of them. They're men, so they're not chitty chatty. Okay.
That's my favorite part.
What's up? Hey, okay, that's it. That's the extent. So they stayed there for about an hour and then they were each taken to different rooms. So one guy was taken to one room in the same building. The other guy was taken to another room on campus, but another building. Both rooms were shielded so that no communication could come in and out electronically. The first guy was in the first room. He had a technician. He was shining a pen light. If you know what a pen light is, it's what the eye doctors use to watch your pupils dilate and constrict. So he was shining that in the eyes of this guy just randomly, like he got to choose. It was the technician's choice when to do it. He just chose to do it. And he would like click a little thing annotating the time. So in the other building, in the other room, in the other building with the other guy, guess what his pupils were doing? They were constricting and expanding at the exact same time with no stimulus. Okay, no stimulus. That's quantum entanglement. We influence each other. And I know you've all heard a lot of, in your lifetime, you've all heard a lot of the sayings like you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with and all of that. That is true. They are influencing you probably more than you're influencing them. So, we need to be aware of that. So all of that to say, when you're talking about scanning someone that's not in the room with you, that's not hooked up to your physical device, you're doing that through quantum entanglement. Okay. it's your connection with that person allows you to extend this scanning capability to them. Now, if you do that without their permission, that's called witchcraft. Okay. You need to have people's permission before you do stuff, because it's real stuff. It's not woo-woo. It's not spiritual. It is scientific, but it would be like putting a pill in somebody's drink. All right. That's not okay. It's not okay to treat somebody or do anything with somebody that hasn't given you permission. Now, that's adults. If you have kids, you have permission to do all the things to them. they're your guinea pigs. Okay. And your pets. But I don't even scan my husband unless he tells me it's okay. Sometimes I'd really like to, but again, another story. So what can the scan do? Well, there are scans like right now, some of you are in our detox program, and your scan, what we're sending you is your toxicities scan. And that is only a small part of what's called the vitals. And the vitals is like all your blood work. We're not sending you your blood work, but we could. You're like a CBC panel, when you go get your blood work and it's all your blood work, we can do that. It's energetic, it's energy, not chemistry, but we can see your blood lipids, your white blood cell count, your red blood cell count, your plasma, all of that. Enzymes, hormones, food sensitivities, all of these things, your allergens, like, what trees are you allergic to? What foods are you allergic to? All those things. That's all part of what the AoScan can pick up. And here's the thing. Now, you have to remember this when we talked about, I'm so glad we say things over and over again because we know it takes like multiple times. We were talking about this. How many times does it take before we get something? Because I'm going to start keeping an account on my end for me. But it picks up. Remember, we talked about this field around you, right? Your cloud storage. So your cloud storage has stuff in it. So the scan could be picking up things that are in your cloud storage that are not physically your body. That's why it's important that you look at patterns to see, is this something coming up consistently versus one time? Because I don't know about you, but I mean, you haven't probably seen all the stuff, but the first time I did a scan on myself, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. It's horrible. It was so awful.
That's facts. Yeah.
But when I think back to that time, that whole week, I'd been around people that were traumatized, that were having major health issues. I had all this quantum entanglement with all these people. And so I had to go, oh, wait. Okay, Lord, just let me cut that off. Let me be just me. Let me run the scan again. It was still bad in some ways. It was still bad in some ways, but it also was just the potential for something. Some of the stuff was, so some things came up that I knew I'd had at one time, but I didn't have now. Well, that's because out here in my cloud storage, the frequency for that still was there, but there was nothing on my hard drive. I hadn't deleted it from my clouds. Does that make sense? Are y'all getting that? It's like cloud storage out here, this information around you plus you. So yes, white angelica, Sarah's asking, white angelica can help protect you from their junk, and also the freedom flowers yarrow shield is fabulous. We recommend that to every client, especially the ones who are sensitive. And if you think, oh, well, I already have white angelica. Okay, well, here's what I'd say. How well is that working for you? If it's not doing the job, try something different. Let's not get stuck in a modality that is not producing the results you want. Sometimes it's a different modality you need. Sometimes it's layered. It's not an either or, it's a yes and. Yeah. So you could try both of those together, which would kind of be like double shielding. Perfect. So
Bren, can I just touch on that? You said something. I just want to make sure everybody got it. Maybe they do, but I just want to double check. You said something, you had something came up on your scan and you had it one time, long time ago, but it was still in your cloud storage. You hadn't deleted it. So for an example, I know at one point, I'm trying to think of something that came up on mine. I don't know, some like chicken pox or something, that I'd had. Cause, back then we got chicken pox and, we didn't have to get a poke for it. Well, anyway, that's another topic. But anyhow, so you have that, it comes up, it's because the frequency is still in your body. It does not mean you have obviously chickenpox at 49 years old, correct? I mean, and then when you run the optimizing frequencies, or you can even do something in the device to help remove that from your cloud storage, right? That's what you're saying?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I
Um,
just want you guys to see, like, when you get a scanner, for those of you who had a scan and it's like, why is this on here? I had something, I know I remember, I had something, some frequency of something from a tropical parasite. Well, it was in 2016, the last time I was in the tropics. So chances are either A, I still had it, or B, it was just a frequency that I had because it didn't come up again, but just
so
something to
sometimes those things can be personal. They're actually, that's your stuff. It's current. It's real right now. Sometimes it's generational because our DNA carries the frequency of our ancestors and things that happen to them. So sometimes you can have traumas. You can even have beliefs. You guys, you can have beliefs that are not yours that you inherited from your parents. Do you know, I mean, I'm just going to say, do you know racism can be inherited? I'm not talking about like growing up in a racist home. I'm talking about it can literally be inherited because your cells have memory. Okay, that's why when they do a heart transplant, sometimes the person that got the transplanted heart has a craving for something that the person that got the heart hated, because the memory of the cells of the person who died and gave up the heart, they loved that thing. Okay. Cells have memory. So those things could be, Janice, tuberculosis was one. Grandfather had it. So I want to circle back though real quick, because I checked and I saw your question, Becky, about can you help could you help your husband if he was like, oh, this is woo-woo, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Because I live with a skeptic. I think I told you that, you and I talked about that. My husband's an electrical engineer. He's like super logical and like just sometimes we start talking and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to discuss this with you anymore, because he's so narrow-minded and black and white thing. He cannot conceive of the things I'm talking about. And I get that. And I mean, it's no problem. It's just how he thinks. Like he thought essential oils were woo-woo for the longest time. I mean, would not use them, just thought that was ridiculous. But what I would say is this, Becky, is that you can do several things with an AoScanner to help people who you have not gotten permission to send frequencies to specifically. One of those is you can create in the AoScanner, you can create kind of a profile that is your home. Okay. So it's like the frequencies in your house, in your home. And in that you can send frequencies of, openness, of freedom, of, freedom in the belief, like not that rigidity, in your home. Now that's not going to overpower him, but if there is any place where he's open, right, then there would be a part of him that could reach out and embrace that and begin to shift a little bit at a time to becoming more willing to be open. So that's one way you can help people, kind of more in an atmospheric way. You just set the atmosphere and they exist in it. They still have their personal freedom to accept or reject or to not engage, but they have also the opportunity to receive those frequencies, even though they consciously don't know they exist there. Here's the thing. You have a spirit and your spirit knows all things. So their spirit knows what the truth about all this. It's their soul that blocks them.
So just on that note, and this, I was like, that's what I was going to say. So I'm grateful that you guys are asking. So this is like a non-invasive essential oil. You guys know when you diffuse oils, for those of you guys who are oily people, and you, I was just about to say, Becky, if you put joy in your spouse's or partner's underwear just to make them happier, and it really does work. I have scads of women who have tried it, but in any case, you diffuse an oil, and if it's not off-putting to the person, it obviously shifts their mood because it's frequency. It's working on their body. It's working on their soul and their spirit, all of it. And this is the same thing. It's just different. So I think Sarah asked, can you create a positive mood? Yeah, for sure. It's just like diffusing believe or orange. I mean, orange, everybody's happy around orange. You slice an orange or a lemon. It's the same thing, except for with essential oil, some people are a little ruffled emotionally because they don't care for the smell. And just like music, right? Smell will trigger certain things. But this is the same thing. I have tons of spaces on my device. And I was just sharing with a woman the other day who leads Bible study. Obviously, she doesn't have everyone's permission to Sue and Bet or Bob or whoever their names are. But if you have, Sunday night Bible study or our living room, like just not necessarily for the people for the study, but just our living room, that space, creating like memory retention, and anybody who walks in there, like your intention would be that they will remember that they have peace and joy and a positive attitude, to Sarah's point. So it's really, really, really neat. I've run for everybody's room sleep frequencies specific to those kids. And and of course I have their permission, but if I didn't, I would just have it for that space. For our home. I'm the boss. I pay the bills on the house, that kind of thing, right? Just a side note, I also have frequencies running to keep the wasp away from my house. So far, so good. So there's stuff you can do for that.
Pets too, fleas, things like that. I wanted to show you. So this is an example of like creating a group. So, we're running these programs. And so Jen and I have these groups. We both have them, but I'm doing the sleep one. So those who are in that good night, sleep tight, got in on that healing room program that's 3 weeks. I have a little, I'm going to see if I can do this. Whoa, let me see my ring light. Hold on.
Got it.
There. That might be better. So can you see that, or is it just, for me, it's all light. I can't see anything.
It's kind of all light. I was going to see if I can.
Oh, look there. You can see a little bit right there. Do you see? I've got a group that I made, and then my playlist, and you see all those things are in the playlist. So because everybody that's in this group agreed to be in it, everybody that's in it said yes. And so when I send these frequencies, that's like, that goes out to each one of those people at 9 o'clock at night, and they begin to receive these frequencies that are for sleep.
Yeah.
And I do that for 2 hours. So, and then they get their little Cephi cards. So that's another thing you can do with the AoScan is these same frequencies. I don't know if you saw, I'm going to show you. It says up at the bottom, it says that you can imprint or you can broadcast, and you can broadcast individually, or you can broadcast 2 minutes or continuous. Okay. So when it says imprint, I actually put those cards on my device. I laid them across the device. I cleared them first so that anything that was imprinted on them before, just from wherever they were made or whatever, cleared them off. And then I imprinted those frequencies onto the card and then sent them out to the people that are part of that program. Now, when they get that card, they can put that in their pillowcase, and they're going to receive the same frequencies I'm sending initially to help them get to sleep. They'll be receiving the same frequencies all night long to help them stay asleep. And trust me, I'm telling you, that works so well that last night I was fine, y'all. I was fine. I was like awake and alert and doing stuff. And all of a sudden my husband came in here. He goes, "Are you okay, Bren? Are you awake?" I had fallen asleep sitting straight up, but I started running those frequencies and it knocked me out. I'm like, okay, note to self. I need to figure out how to get around. Well, actually, I could just go to bed. I mean, that's a thing, right, Becky? Becky will be like, "You need your rest, girl." But anyway, it's really cool. So there's that. You can create your own playlist for each kid. You can put one for yourself, for your spouse, for a room. So I have a space. I have my office at the office, not my home office, but my office. I have my home office, I have a bedroom, home, all in there as a space that I can run frequencies to the space. And it is like, I love that, Jen. That's perfect. It's like diffusing oils. Okay, same thing. The oils, you talk about frequency, y'all all know frequency from the oils. So imagine if the oils had no smell, but they still had the frequency. Same thing. You'd be diffusing frequency. That's what you've been doing all along. You didn't know it, but that's what you're in. So let me go back to the vitals. The vitals is like your blood work, your chemistry, your hormone level, your hormone panels, getting those done. And you can do that for yourself to keep up with what's going on in your body. And the cool thing is that you can see changes toward the positive or the negative. So number one, it's very encouraging when you're trying to do things to improve your health to be able to see results. It's also very good when you see a negative trend to go, hey, wait a minute, I need to look at this and maybe make some lifestyle changes or make some changes to what I'm taking into my body or who I'm around. Just saying. So that's one of the things that's important for that. And then there's a comprehensive scan, which is your bones, your muscles, your tendons, your arteries, your veins, your organs, your spine, your mitochondria, and your chromosomes. And so, for instance, I have recently had chromosome 7 marker 4 come up, and I'm like, okay, y'all, just so y'all know, I don't have that in my head. So I go look up chromosome 7 marker 4, what things are associated with that. Well, wouldn't you know it, lymphoma is associated with that. Well, that's what I had when I had cancer. And so it's picking up on that there was a genetic marker, and I'm seeing that show up on my scan. So I'm like, aha. So what am I doing that I need to not do? Well, okay, so when I was diagnosed, I had a lot of stress in my life. I ate like crap. I didn't get enough sleep. I didn't drink water. So now I'm kind of just watching that. It could have been that I was around somebody, and that's why I picked it up. So I'm not going to take that personally, but I'm going to watch and see, does that come up again on my scans? Because if it is, and it comes up consistently, I'm going to know something is making that frequency be picked up by the scanner. So now I have more control over my health. I don't have to wait till I get some diagnosis. I can go, oh no, lifestyle changes. I'm going to go, DEFCON 1 on this, and I'm going to fast, and I'm going to do all these things I know to do when you're in a health crisis. So it can just make a difference in knowing before something manifests, right? It's educational. It's not diagnostic. So you don't run a scan and go, oh, I have this ever. Okay. You run a scan and you go, the frequency for that came up in my scan. Wonder if it was me, someone else, generational, entanglement. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on that because I don't want that to be a part of my life. And so the next time you do a scan, you go, did that come up again? Oh, no, it didn't. Okay, dismissed. It came up again. Okay, third time's the charm, 3 or 4, right? And you have it come up the third time, the fourth time. Now that's not time to go, I have this. That's time to say, okay, this frequency is present. What can I do to mitigate that? Well, you can start running certain frequencies. You can make some lifestyle changes. You can work on the emotions that are associated with that. So it's really, really helpful for that. And then the other thing, that one of the other scans that's my favorite is it's like an easy scan. So it's like a combination of inner voice and the vitals and the comprehensive. So it's like getting an all-in-one in one compact thing that you can do every day. And so, when you do the scan, it says, okay, you do the inner voice, so you talk into it, and then it says, okay, now it's starting vitals, and it does a vital scan. Okay, now it's starting comprehensive, does a comprehensive scan. And all it shows you, it comes up with the tones. It doesn't give you all that detailed information about what's up with you emotionally, okay? It just gives you the tones to listen to. So you just go push the accept button. You know that those tones are important for your emotional well-being. And then it gives you a like, these are the things you need to pay attention to. The things that are double red. So either double ones or double nines. Double meaning before and after optimization. So that when you run a scan in the in the AO scanner, the first scan it does is it checks to see what's there. Then it either sometimes simultaneously or sometimes secondarily will run a scan, and it will give you optimizing, harmonizing frequencies that improve you. Right. So you might have something show up as a 9, and I'll tell you those numbers in a minute, but a 9, and now it's a 6. So it moved it from being out here at the extreme over into more of the mid-range of normal. So the numbers 1 to 9, 4, 5, and 6 are considered the normal range, 5 being perfectly balanced. 4, 3, 2, 1 is moving toward under functioning. It's moving toward chronic, right? So those are those numbers mean it's moving toward, it's been there a long time and it's just, chronic, or it could be that you're low on something or something is not functioning well. It's under functioning. The numbers 6, 7, 8, and 9 are acute. So it could be that you're moving toward an acute situation, like this is critical now, or it could be that it is over functioning, hyperfunction. Okay. So, if something, that's a great question, Stephanie. So if something went from a 6 to a 9, if it goes out of balance the other way, then what that means is that you have a finite amount of energy. So your body borrowed some energy from something that was in balance to fix something that was out of balance. And you don't need to worry about that unless it keeps coming up like that and keeps doing it. But for the most part, when I see something that was good and it moved to an out of balance situation, I ignore that unless I see that coming up more than once. It just means that temporarily my body went, I'm going to borrow a little bit of that stability over there, and I'm going to stick it over here where this is unstable. That makes sense. So the cool thing is that I can scan my pets. So I scanned my dogs. I scanned my dog last night. I thought she was growling at me. Oh my gosh, y'all, it was her stomach. Like when your dog's stomach sounds like it is literally her growling, there is something going on in that belly. So, okay, I'm not a one-trick pony. First thing I did was I used the tummy jize for her because I love the roll-on for pets. I know I have the Parajize, but I use it for me too because the smell's not as offensive. So I use oils and I put those on, and she knows she hates the smell, but she loves the benefit. I put that on her, and then I ran a scan on her because I want to know, like, is this serious? Do I need to take her to the vet? Do I need to do emergency vet? I've done my share of emergency vet visits over the years. I wish I'd had this earlier. Because I know what to look for. So I'm looking to see, like, is there something with her stomach? Is it torqued? Is there a problem? And everything I find except gastric distress and some food intolerances. So then I'm looking at, oh yeah, we've changed her food a couple of days ago. So she's having that adjustment period. So it wasn't a big deal other than it was not pleasant in the aroma department for a while. And her stomach was gurgling. So you can do that on your pets. And then the last thing I want to say about the AoScan as far as the benefits of it. So I'm just kind of throwing at you all of these things because, again, there are devices out there that will do one or more of these, but not all of these. I've not found anything that does all of this. That's why I think it's so incredible. It's literally like a wellness clinic in the palm of your hand. So you can scan all of your supplements into the device. And the way you do that is you go to your personal record and you look, okay, so see up there, it says Brenda and it says supplements. Can you see? Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, supplements and therapies. And so you can click on that and it will come up and you can click on add. And then there's a place, I'm just going to show you, there's like this place like this. So it says name. Applicable categories, morning, midday, evening. Okay, so when you would take that, or therapies. So I might put my red light therapy in there. Right? Any other kind of therapies you do. Description, dose quantity. So 2 per dose or 3 drops or whatever that dose is. And then there's a little button down here that says scan. Okay, so when you scan that, you literally put it on the device and it scans the frequency of your supplements into the device, which is amazing. And so when you do that, then there are scans you can do that will come up every day. It will scan you and it'll say, today you need these things. Today you need extra vitamin C. Today you need less vitamin D. Today you need more of that. And I will tell you, it will revolutionize the way you take medications, and not medications, but supplements, because if you're like me, I mean, we don't know, we can't tell like how much of something we need otherwise. And so we'll just take whatever the dose says to take. Oh, you take 3 of these 3 times a day. Okay, well, I'll take 3 times a day. So now I'm taking 9 things. What if my scanner came up and said, you need 2 a day? You don't need all that. It's just waste for you because you don't need all of it. That's one of the spectacular things I've loved about this is, my, what would we call it, Jen? The supplement graveyard. I'm bringing it back to life, y'all. I'm bringing them back to life. I'm going, okay, well, maybe I do need to take that because I've kind of put stuff off because I'm like, I don't know if that's doing me any good. Have y'all done that? I don't know if that's doing me any good.
I don't feel anything, so I'm going to be done with it.
Exactly. So what I realized is, that actually would be helpful for my body. And I know that because my scanner is picking up that it would be. And so that is so cool. And that will save you money. Something that you normally were taking, like maybe it was a 30-day supply, but for you, it might be a 90-day. Right. And we've kind of seen that in some things we're doing with the detox, like, there's like a recommended amount, but we've kind of gone slow and said, feel your body and see what you need. And for some people, it might some products might last them longer or less time. And that's kind of the same thing. It's like, if you could do what is best for you and not overdo, wouldn't that be better?
Absolutely.
You might actually see results from the synergy of taking the things you do need and only the things you do need, rather than throwing everything but the kitchen sink at a problem, which that's my tendency, all the things, So there are some more programs. I'm telling you, there are more programs than that, but that's enough to get you like that. That right there ought to be enough.
Yeah.
Other things are just extras.
On that note, just with the supplements, I do want to just say, in case maybe you guys didn't catch it, but in the AO scanner, there's also a portion where if you take homeopathics, if some of you guys take Bach flowers, that type of thing, you can upload the frequencies, not upload, it's already in there. You can imprint, that was the word I was looking for, imprint water with those Bach flower remedies or whatever the flower you need. You can do the little sugar pellets. I know my family takes the sugar pellets, or they used to. Now I just make my own. And we've made sleep concoctions. We do a bunch, because when my husband passed, we did a lot of grief things, like Brenda. I mean, I was like, oh, flower essence, yeah, I'll throw that at it. Okay, Bach, just whatever, because this grief sucks. And so we were trying to like help us maintain. But now I can do it individually, and I don't want to just completely like, well, I tell you guys all about it, but there's an emotion portion in the flower remedies, the homeopathics, that you can type in, let's say sadness or frustration, and it'll come up with whatever flower it recommends or remedy for you for that time. So you're not really guessing. Like, oh, I think I need Star of Bethlehem. Well, maybe you don't. And anyway, it just is really helpful. Again, it takes the guesswork out of it. So if you're familiar with homeopathics, that might speak to you and save you hundreds from not
you
having.
Buy the little homeopathic pellets from Selects, or you can buy them from Amazon, but you literally can make your own homeopathic remedies. They're energetic. which is very, very important because I don't know if you're aware of this, the FDA is looking to shut down homeopathy.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So but they can't shut down the energetic aspect because it's actually nothing there but energy.
Yeah.
And they haven't found a way to regulate energy. So that is so cool to me that, okay, try your hardest. We've got all these things that we can do now. So, yeah, it's fabulous. I mean, it does all the things. And just again, so I don't know, Jen, is it okay to talk about like because I don't know if anybody has any more questions. I know that there's probably questioning like how much is it and that stuff. Were you going to talk about that, or are you going to?
Yeah, it's just really quick. Sarah was asking and guessing there's excellent training. There is, the company who provides the scanner, Solex, I was really impressed because, I started essential oils and a long, long time ago, and there was not hardly anything but a book. And it was like, here, read this book, and keep going and doing research. So there's a lot of real excellent. That's not a good. No, look at me. I'm making up my own phrases. It's they're comprehensive, but they're short. So it's not throwing a bunch of information at you. They're like maybe 10 minutes to 20. There's a couple that are 30 at the most, but they're really informational. They walk you through using it for yourself. Really, it's for yourself. Now, if you're a practitioner and you want to use it like Bren and I do, there's also more training for that. But they really do have an excellent university. One thing that I've been doing when people do have a scanner with me is I love to sit down and just like, hey, let's play with your scanner, because that's just something I like doing. So if that is helpful, but by the time we get to sit down together, the person has typically already found the stuff in the thing and they're like, oh, I got it. And because it's really intuitive as well.
Yeah.
So asking a couple questions here and there, watching the training videos, and then away you go. Again, it's real intuitive. It's real simple. Becky, you were asking, looked at the ordering and wondered if only ordering the small device would be sufficient. What would we be missing if we didn't order the larger scanner? Brenda, do you have the larger scanner?
I don't. I just use the phone size, but there's no difference at all. It is literally just your preference for visual to see it. This is okay. So this is my iPhone 10, right? Let me turn it around so it's not flashing. So that's the size difference. This is my iPhone 10 and this is the device.
Yeah.
So it is small, but here's the cool thing. So all of the things that you're looking at on the device, there's a little email button at every scan. Every scan you do, there's an email button that you can go to and send it to yourself, and then you can open it up on your computer. There's also a way for you to use it on your computer. So if you have access, then you can have the app that you can use on a computer display. So if you're like somebody that just wants to sit in front of a computer, I do that sometimes when my device is like in the other room and I'm just sitting here doing something. You can do that. So the size of the device is really just preference. And I will say this, please don't just go like Google stuff and just jump in, because basically, we have an affiliate link, Jen and I do. We're, kind of going back and forth with that because of our training and explanation of what this thing can do. And so, yes, we prefer you to use our affiliate link if you're looking at doing this, because we want to be there to support you. We want to give you the benefit of our expertise and what we know and how to do that and support you and be able to have you get the most out of it. So that's the only reason. You're welcome to do whatever you want to do. You can be what is called, somebody asked about this. I just want to use it for personal use. And that is a preferred customer. Okay, a preferred customer. And so you're just a customer of the company. You just have your device and you can run it for your family. There's no difference in that and the people that do it. Some people do it business wise. But if you want to just do it as a customer, you can do that. And it is fabulous. It's fabulous. So there is a monthly amount. And I'm assuming, Jen, it's okay to talk about that.
I think so. Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
is there a difference in the monthly? Yeah, that was going to be, I
no,
think that was the
there's
question.
no difference in the monthly. It's $149 a month. For some people it's sticker shock, but if you think about all the things for a family or even for yourself, the money you can save on buying supplements you don't need, on treating yourself in a sense. And I said the word treat is probably not the best to use, but helping your body with frequencies when you feel the sniffles coming on. Just like the same stuff we would say about oils, right? But using the frequency to help you, it really, really does. I mean, if I'm going to be dealing with something difficult, if I'm going to be studying for something, I start using frequencies that are for mental clarity and memory and all of that stuff. So all of these things, it's just unlimited, really, and all the things that you can do to help yourself and help your kids and help your pets, helping your pets. I mean, that is a huge thing to me. I mean, some of us, our fur kids are like our thing. We don't have little kids in the house or whatever, and they're important to us.
Well, and just on the pets thing, I mean, I love my pets, but I got 5 kids, so my pets have to come like second and third. But my mom only has me, and I'm 49 years on the earth, so she didn't have to worry about me anymore. But she has horses, and what's neat, and if you've read any of my mom's stuff, she runs the animal sanctuary portion of our app. Please go look at that if you have pets and you're interested, because she has had some really incredible results that she's done on one of her horses, and actually now is playing around with all of them and her pups. So not just Bren, I mean, Brenda, like her puppies are definitely well loved. But if you are a animal person, I mean, truly, this is phenomenal. And now my mom, this is so funny, you guys, because this is how little I think about my pets. My mom is running scans on my animals. Because I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that, mom. But she does it. She's helping my daughter with the dog with diabetes. And I was going to look at my dog. He's got an attitude problem, all that kind of stuff. So it's really neat if you do have pets to help. I mean, saving a lot of money on vet bills for sure. For sure.
And Janice is our pet whisperer. She knows a lot about animals. She's got animals. And that was one of the reasons that she got in this. To really become kind of our pet doctor in a sense. So she's now running scans for people who don't have this for if they want them on their pets. She can run those for you and then do a little consult and talk to you about what she's seeing. Yeah. Because it is, those things you want it to make sense to somebody. And she's got a handle on that. Now I do because of frequency use. I've just used frequency for so long and I use it on my animals. But she's got horses and dogs and cats and
chickens.
They don't do chickens yet right now. There's scans just for horses, dogs, and cats. But I will tell you this, that before they had actual pet specific stuff, people were just using the human stuff and making the leap. So, if you had a chicken, you could probably run a human vital scan and just ignore the stuff that chickens don't have.
And I will tell you this, just on chickens, I don't know. My mom has been doing a lot of stuff with frequency and just shifting a lot of things. And I get eggs from her when the chickens are doing well. Their eggs are phenomenal. So, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but, and I buy farm fresh eggs from the farmer's market or whatever, but whatever she's doing with her little ranch over there, she's
happy
doing
chickens. Happy chickens produce happy eggs.
That's 100%. Yeah, she's got a little geriatric, unit there for some of her hens that are no longer laying, but they're living their best life. So yeah, so then the device, the smaller one is $495, Bren? I'm like, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the iPad, the bigger one, is just a touch over $1,000 if you wanted to have the iPad.
Yeah, I think is it $995? I thought it was $995. Maybe
so is it under? Okay.
But again, that's just your size preference. I've had, what I like about the smaller device is that I can have it in my purse and take it with me, and I'm not carrying a bigger device.
I will say, if I had to go back, I don't have regrets, but if I had to go back, if I knew what I know now, I would have rather, this isn't a plug for the iPad. I just want to tell you guys, I would have rather gotten that. I think it's preference and personality. I use it so much with so many other people that I like just having that device that looks different than my phone. Brenda's definitely more portable, but mine, I don't know. It just, for me, and because I upload a jar for my water.
Screen is bigger for that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Screen is
and
bigger.
Yeah, for whatever you're uploading, or excuse me, imprinting. There's just some things that I wish I had a bigger device, and I probably at some point would get a bigger one. But just, again, preference. If you don't mind small, if you're just doing it personal, but if you think that you might do this, like, on your friends, and maybe if you have a business and you're doing it on other people, you may consider the bigger one. Again, total preference.
I had a doctor that just, when he looked at both of them, he's like, oh yeah, I want the bigger one. And
Sure.
He was buying like several kinds of devices at once. So here I am trying to go, well, this one's less. And he's like, no. My eyes are older, and I'm not going to try to look at that little screen. I want a bigger screen.
That's my situation.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, if you didn't have your computer, might go with the bigger one too. Yeah, the computer. And I don't always have my computer with me. I don't have a laptop, Becky, too, so that's also my thing. I don't want to always have to come back here and look at this. Again, it's preference. So everybody's different with whatever devices they have. Yeah, you can't carry a computer with you. Yeah, no. Well, if you have a laptop, that's the thing. If I meet somebody at a coffee shop and we run a scan or something, then it's just, I don't know. I would rather.
It is easier for them to see that, like if you're out. So, for instance, when I'm doing this on clients in the office, I'll take my device, my smaller device. Wow, that's like, woo, light. And I will, sorry, distracted for a moment. Squirrel. But I'll take my device and do it, and then I'll send it to myself, and I'll pull it up on my laptop so that I can show the client and they can see it bigger. Yes, there's no difference in the personal or business. Their only difference whatsoever is if you wanted to be a QLA, which is their quantum living advocate. You wanted to do that because of whatever business purposes, you decided you wanted to go that route. It's $49 a year. So, and it's actually waived this month. So for anybody that purchases this month, you get a whole year free of that. But that would allow you, to different things. Like some people really want to make a huge business out of this. And obviously Jen and I are doing this. But we're not really trying to build a business so much as we're trying to help people with the scanner, because you can see we're not like focused in on one thing or another thing. It's like, here's the tools we use to help people, and they're all good and they're all important. And so, we're not just focused on that. But if somebody wanted to do that, they could do that. There have been people who've made a full business just on doing the inner voice analysis. That's it. They don't even do any of the other scans on any people. They just do the inner voice and have people sign up for subscriptions. Oh, I'm going to do these monthly for you or whatever. And that's a way that they have, yes, way for business. That's a way that they have recouped their $149 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know, it's just so funny how this happened for us, honestly, because we are so more into helping people emotionally, spiritually, and all that. And seeing this, and I just, again, saw how it did with my family as Bren was doing things on me. And there's a lot you can do with it to help other people. So it's really, really and totally up to you all. But I wanted to have this info meeting just to share with you guys, because Brenda and I do a lot now. We have the weight less, the don't worry, be happy, and the night sleep tight things, and the 21-day intensive and we're doing the detox, really my heart was to just say, this is what we're doing. And this is how we're doing it with this device. So really, if you guys have any other questions, we're always available. You can find us on the app. You can totally still find us on Facebook. It may take us a while to get back to you on that. But absolutely, you can find us there. And then, yeah, if there's no more questions, oh, wait, Sarah, the 49 annual is waived this month, but still pay the 149. Yes. So the 49 annual, that is if you wanted to have an actual business. So if you wanted to sell the scanners or sell anything, that's what that is. But if you want to be just a preferred customer, like a lot of people, and you're using it for personal use, there's no 49 annual, and it is 149 a month to use the software and the device.
Yeah, no change. And it's not like if you're a business, if you do the business, you get better pricing. Okay.
Right.
It's
Right.
the difference is you get paid commissions. And you can still get, I think there's still something for affiliate also. But really that's all the difference. You get the same access, you get the same 149 a month, and that includes whatever they add to it, because they add stuff all the time. Like they're coming out with more and more things. You know, when they added the animals, they didn't say, hey, we're going to now charge you more per month because you have this extra module on here.
Right.
Right.
That's right. Can you scan friends under your personal use, or do you have to do the annual to allow you to scan friends?
Yep, you can scan your friends. You have the same database, so you can do the same thing. You can put people in, pets in, places in, with the same, you have this exact same software. There's no difference. Same device, same software. How do you update the device? They send out updates. So there's an update you do, like the device itself is, I don't know the name, which one it is. It is a Google, it's an Android phone, but it's not just a phone, y'all. It is a military grade hardware. It's got its own case built onto it. So it's, you know, it's a different thing. It says AoScan. It's built in. I don't know if you can see where it says AoScan on the back. So this isn't just a phone that they're selling you, although it can be used for a phone. That kind of defeats the purpose. So but basically, whichever you get, whether it's the small device or the tablet, it's the same. So again, the only difference for that $49 is you can either build a business or you can get paid commissions. Other than that, it's the same for you to do the preferred customer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think if there's no more questions, we can let everyone go.
Yeah. Did you have something? No, like hurry. Are you going to run do this?
Right. Get out of the phone. Okay.
All right.
Yep. Just let us know if you guys would like an affiliate link. We're happy to help you with that. And then thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate every moment that you spent with us. It's a gift to us. It's just fun for us to be able to keep talking about the things we love doing and sharing. So thanks, everybody.
Oh, and for those of you who are local, if you're wanting to see it in person, hello.
Yeah, sorry. I thought about that. So if you're local, I know some of you guys are not local, but on Saturday, we're having a sip, scan, and scones. So my scones, courtesy of my mom, they're the best scones you've eaten in your life. I can guarantee that.
That's a reason to come right there.
Right there. Albert tea, and that's my contribution. We will get that to you, Pamela. And then if you are not local, then I believe we're going to Zoom that in, right, Brent? We'll just like let people, yeah, just share. So yeah, if you want to see the wine via the quantum, you're hilarious. If you want to see it like in person, then pop over to my house. I can send you guys my address. And we'd love to see that Saturday, 1 o'clock, 1 till 3. We're not going to kick you out of 3, but just in case you have somewhere else to be after that. So Love to have you guys there. And someday, hopefully we can do this other places too. So, because we have a lot of frequency tools to share with people, and it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Oh yes, join the animal sanctuary for all your pet needs. Thank you, Mom, for that. I appreciate that. Good night, everyone.
All right.